What is going on today? What is going on today, everyone? It is your boy, the most light skin, and I'm back at it again with another one of these YouTube videos, trying to express my opinion and make things more better known, and just to more articulate what it is that I believe is going on with the world and the patterns that I happen to be seeing. I'm not going to be liked for this one. I'm going to be talking about something that Kevin Samuels has spoken about for a long time, a lot, as a matter of fact, and the way that it is that most women lie and how most lies are done by women is omission. You don't actually directly happen to lie and even say a lie directly. This is how it is that a lot of you ladies happen to get by in making yourselves feel as if you're still correct or you still feel like you're doing the right thing. Is because, well, I didn't tell a lie, or you basically infer really hard that a man needs to do something for you, and then when he does something and then he's messed up and then you don't return in kind what you had inferred you would do for him. It's, oh, well, no, I didn't ask you to do that. It's the most disgusting shit that you ladies can do. But the biggest way that I believe lies are omitted, and how it is they affect the rest of the world is simply the true stories in which that happen and the way that you ladies conduct and move throughout society and yourselves. It's not widely known. It's not widely spread. It's not even something that's understood, which is why it is that women are able to largely run through the world saying, believe all women, and that good. Why is it that a woman would lie when we all happen to know that in order to hurt a man that she happens to be upset with, or to even get to gain in a position, in a power position in which where she would find herself to be of more authority, or in more possession of power, it would be more it would be more in tune to her wants, to more her direct what it is that she would say she needs, even though that it's not to screw somebody else over isn't something that you happen to need. To gain more power might not even be something that you need. It's just something that you happen to desire. And for most of you ladies, it's not even something that you do happen to need. As I said before, I've had several women that have attempted to be in power positions and leadership positions in places that I've worked and so on, and it has almost never been good, to put it slight and in short. But we're going to go ahead and touch on a couple of things today. I mean, for me in particular, and I'm even going to bring up a little bit of my story here, just to more so explain and express as to how and why it is that all of this happens to tie in to my life, to what it is that I speak about, and how it is that I know of these things that I happen to speak about. What are my experiences? Goodness, my father was African American. My mother was white. They happen to have gotten together. I was born in '86. I'm the 38-year-old dude. Man, I have a sister that is 2 years younger than me. That was absolutely their pride and joy, as much as it is that my parents would have tried to make it seem like they did everything for me as well. But I wound up actually just being the punching bag of the family. I mean, if you could believe it, goodness, when it came to Family Guy, I actually couldn't watch that show for a while because to watch Meg get shit on reminded me too much of what it was to be at home. And I say that lightly, but it's not. I know for a fact that I am not the only man out here that has had this experience. I'm not the only man who's had a younger sister who was absolutely babied by the rest of the family, who was able to lie and torment and do all kinds of insanity to her brother, and he was basically allowed no recourse, no justification, no kind of way to express himself. There was no. It was just what she says goes. And I mean, and I even happen to hear about it still on some of the channels that I happen to have mentioned before, with strong, successful male, true stories. Some of those things. It's really unfortunate, some of the situations in which that you happen to come up, and that you happen to hear, and as well, I happen to have that horrible experience myself, which happens to entail with both my mother and my sister lying, and basically conspiring my father to beat the hell out of me. And he actually hated me for the large part of my life. Like, as it is that I started to get near 10, there was no love there anymore. It was just, I was the bad child, even though that there was nothing that could be said that was actually bad about me. And it was just it was kind of funny to see the look of shock on my father's face when I actually pressed him about it the first time as an adult, to be able to articulate myself even close to this fashion, when it is that he had asked why it is that I never spoke to him. And when I explained to him that I got hit again the first time I explained it to him as a child, I asked, why are you bullying me? And instead of going, Why does he feel like I'm bullying him? And instead going about it in that route, he had already been so predisposition programmed due to my mother and my sister's lies that it was just, I'm son bad, hit bad. That was it. So when it is that I had pressed him with this actual reality of what the situation was, there was nothing but confusion for him. And it was what? You're telling me that in the entirety of my life has been a lie? And it's absolutely crazy. I mean, my sister has tried to contact me since then and so on, and she has made no effort to apologize. She's in fact admitted that she has done this and that, she didn't give a shit. And this is what it is that I'm familiar with as far as women happen to go. And what it is that's not really going to be understood even further and foremost is that my mother taught this to her. That's how she learned it. she, I grew up listening to my father consistently scream, "Stop lying to me." At a very young age, I watched my dad hit my mom. Not a great experience. I don't advise that men hit women. I know I put up a video. Yes, I will absolutely retaliate. Do not touch me, ladies. Period. I am a victim of child abuse. I will not be abused anymore. You should not be abusing your sons or daughters, especially your sons, or even conspiring your husband in a bunch of lies, or the baby father in a bunch of lies, to hit on the children so that way he appears to be the bad guy. Ladies, I have seen a villainous side of you that I can't even begin to express. Um, there even I mean, and I know like a lot of SA happens to you ladies, and I'm absolutely not like sliding that at all in the least, but understand, I mean, even from me being at a young age, like, I'm 6'3", I'm between 240 250. I'm a good size. I'm coming down to 240 now. I've got some nice muscle going. Like I work out quite rigorously. Like I broke my back, I got fat, I was trying to fix myself, okay? Like I'm trying to situate everything so that way I can do the most for my household, for me, for my girl, for anybody is that happens to come into my life that I choose to provide and take care of at that moment in time. Um, Putting things simply, it's goodness. Give me just a moment. It's the fact that not only in my personal life throughout my life with my sister and my mother that I have experienced this, and they basically demonized my father and turned him crazy and made it so he didn't understand all of what was going on in his own life. Even they had him so gaslit that he didn't even know what reality was. And I've seen this happen repeatedly over and over again. Um, and I mean, and as I said, I not to undermine anything it is that has happened to you, ladies, but at a very young age, I'm a big guy, okay? Imagine in high school, all right? Now, I'm 14. It's probably been, it's been maybe half a year, but heard several times throughout the year. And ladies, this was probably where I got to understand how gross a lot of you were. But I heard, "I'm no edophile, but I would," that kid right there. And this was directed at me. I didn't find that shit cute. I was 14, and these were adult women speaking about me. This is absolutely disgusting. Goodness, you fast forward a couple years later, I'm 18, working at a restaurant. I trying to get myself situated or whatnot because my parents said my mother had it so droned up in chaos and everything in the house that it was just no place for me there. So I'm trying to find a job and be able to get somewhere else, and I got grabbed at work. Like, this was by a woman. Like, I've been sexually harassed by men too, but the most aggressive, most egregious of it has been women. Ladies, you are every bit as bad as men. And don't for 1 second lie and try to tell yourselves that you're not in every single way that you happen to be. We hear about the devious things that you happen to do about children. In fact, that's probably the one thing that I didn't happen to grab today was some clips or at least some screenshots about goodness about women who are having inappropriate relationships with children, getting themselves pregnant. I mean, and then there was that one that happened so long ago. They practically made a movie about that. Kind of spoofing the whole thing. Adam Sandler did. What was it? That's My Boy or whatever. When he got, oh man, it was absolutely insane. A funny movie. Anyway, it's not been fun at just about every single. I mean, I've been at a job and I've been gawked at in that fashion. I mean, to be somebody who takes care of themselves, like you ladies genuinely don't see yourselves to be just as villainous in your actions when you commit the same things that you do. In fact, there have been polls to go around. I think it was it was either Celebrity or Media Man. It was one of these two. I forget exactly as to who it was, but it was a question that was posed. Ladies, if you happen to have seen a woman doing something inappropriate to a child, would you tell? And the numbers, the sisterhood stands. You guys resoundingly had all said no. You would not tell. You wouldn't inform the police. You wouldn't go to save this child. You wouldn't do anything for this child. In fact, and I think the question that even followed up, if it was a man, would you say anything? And it was a resounding yes. Ladies, you don't think of yourselves as the victim because you don't want to tell on yourselves. You don't want to get in trouble, but you're more than willing to false accuse a man or to tell on a man, whether it be true or not, just to infer whatever. It honestly, ladies, goodness, to withhold truths, to not hold, to not tell the whole truth, to omit truths and to tell half truths like they are, to say, to shape things basically in a certain fashion as they are when they are not, in fact, is still a lie, and it needs to be seen as such. And it's because they're not is why it is that you ladies are able to get away with as much as you are. But just to put things simply, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get started, and then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna round it about in the end. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start with some clips here. Another way in which that women will omit things is by droning up situations with you and then omitting certain details to everybody else that will make you look like a villain. If everybody doesn't happen to recall, there was a pitcher who had, Trevor Bauer. Is who they're going to go over here in just a moment. This is the Whatever podcast, and the African American gentleman that's sitting next to Brian is Officer Tatum. Used to be a pig. I am not familiar. I'm not fond of him. I don't happen to care. I think that officers happen to have the same kind of argument that women do. That women say that they need more accommodation, more concern, more care, more this, that, more, just as police officers say that they need more training to know not to shoot innocent people. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I'm sorry. Like, you guys are already supposed to be trained to know how to handle situations, not to be overly aggressive, not to harm people. You are not tyrannical. You do not have lord authority over just whoever. Anyway, I can't even go that far. But to address the situation, let's go ahead and listen to what it is that he's got to say. He's got to speak about some time about his time on the force.
Brian, what are your thoughts on the situation with the ML pitcher Trevor Bauer? It is a false accusation case that shows just how some women can be pure evil. I saw the video. I actually reached out to him to see if he wants to be on the show and maybe do a one-on-one interview. So I didn't fully review the thing. It sounds to me like false accusation ruined his career.
I did a video about it earlier. I did some research on it. The woman apparently set him up from the very beginning. She knew how much his net worth was. She got caught texting a friend about how she was going to take advantage of him.
So she knew how much his net worth was. She knew how much money was. I think it was like $50 million or something. And she goes ahead and she makes some ruse about getting roughhoused in the bedroom and so on, and then playing off of those marks as far as she made him go to then say he did this.
Leveraged rough. You know what? I don't know if I can say that on your thing, but she leveraged rough play with the man, and she told him, "Hey, hit me harder," and all this other stuff while they were doing the stuff. And she leveraged that to act as if he beat her, and then she made these accusations. He lost his position. He had a $100 million contract. They suspended him for 2 years. He was out of the MLB, and then it just came out that he was innocent. Women do this. I'll say this, and it's very unfortunate. When I was a cop.
See, and that's just for that situation. There's a reason why it is that this clip happens to be a minute long. I'm going to let him go on here in just a moment. But fact of the matter is, he goes on about his actual time inside of the force and what it is that happens. And even though that he has this information, he can't, as much fact as it happens to be, like, he still can't treat it as fact. And you women will still be able to lie and omit things and say things that aren't true. And life will just go on as if nothing happened.
99% of the allegations of misconduct, sexually assault, and all that stuff were all fake. It's really unfortunate that women who actually that stuff happens to, they don't report it. But some women that do report it, they lie about it. And in my career, I only had 2 real cases. And I had a detective sergeant that was in investigation for 10 years or 15 years, never had a single legitimate case. So it's fortunate that some women do things like that. It makes the ones who are legitimate victims afraid to say something and make people not believe them. This woman is a perfect example. She made up a whole scenario that she was beaten, and then it ended up being nothing.
Do you think that, in your estimation, what if you had to assign a percentage, what percentage of
And on a side note, ladies, I absolutely am in no way saying that things do not happen to you. I'm absolutely acknowledging this. In fact, the matter is, I need to address and make another video that it is, in fact, you ladies that happen to hinder us. You are the ones who are tying real men's hands. Those real men who are inside of the penitentiary, that when it is that a child predator or somebody, a villain like that, happens to come inside and something really bad happens to them and they don't come back out, those real men, they're locked in there because of the laws that you made because you said that they were bad. And I mean, and don't get me wrong, a lot of those men happen to have done a bunch of heinous things, but they weren't being cared for appropriately to begin with to be able to get out there and to behave correctly. They didn't have appropriate moms. Their fathers were getting booted out of the home. They didn't have care inside of the house. A lot of you were being villainous. Your grandmothers were being villainous. Your mothers were being villainous. I grew up with a whole generation of women who were being oppositional and disrespectful. I don't understand why it is that this is just now being a thing.
Reported incidents of assault, let's say, are unfounded.
What do you mean? That they're not legitimate, or we couldn't get to the bottom of it?
They're not legitimate.
Of assaults with
essays.
Yeah, okay. I would say 80% probably, are probably illegitimate.
Yeah, 80%. That is humongous. That's absolutely humongous. And if something like that was in fact to be, say, 80% all the way across the board, so then and that would include domestic violence claims, false domestic violence claims, when it is that the wife happens to claim that the husband did something to the children just so that way she can gain leverage in family court. The fact that the family court is allowed to do the heinous things that it is, the unconstitutional things that it is, to be able to make you monetarily responsible without even finding out if you happen to be biologically related to the child. In fact, even making men who aren't biologically related to a child responsible just because a woman managed to trick him by omitting that he actually wasn't the father. It's the most disgusting mess that you guys are allowed to get away with, as far as just simply omitting fault, omitting guilt, omitting just the truth, period, and then you pretend as if you happen to be a victim at the end of the day. In fact, let's go ahead and jump into some more clips here. Went ahead and try to make this a little bit bigger. This was a post that Dennis Sperling happened to have put up. If you don't know who Dennis Sperling is, he happens to be an acclaimed lawyer. He's a great guy, father. Goodness, he does what it is that he can to show himself being an example for his children, for his family, doing what it is that he needs to do. Was a good friend of Kevin Samuels and happened to have taken up the mantle. You know, all hail to the Blizzard King. Man, R.I.P. to the Godfather, man. I'm here to pay respects and to be able to just, goodness, I guess, cover what it is that I can and show what it is that I can if they happen to miss anything, in my opinion. What it is that I happen to have here is a post that Dennis Sperling, as I had mentioned before, had put up. And it says, Jeezy been around for over 20 years. I ain't never seen him in no controversy besides Gucci beef until that's Gucci Mane, until he got with this lady, and that is Jenny Mai. And she is the one who was she staged a photo shoot or something to that effect with the child and the firearms that were inside of the house. So that way he looked like he was being careless with his guns. She also said that the guns being around were a hazard. I keep my stuff in the safe typically. If it doesn't happen to be in my immediate grasp or whatnot, firearm safety is serious in the gun community. I'm not so certain as to how many actually happen to know this. A lot of people happen to speak as if the firearm community is just a bunch of idiots and we're all stupid and we're just waiting to pew 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 into the air or do something dumb with them. But that's not the case. A lot of us really do happen to do the most to take care and to be the best that we can. Jenny Mai did absolutely everything that she could to present herself as a good woman, as a woman who was willing to submit, a woman who was willing to be nice. She was willing to be caring. She was willing to be respectful. And sure enough, I mean, and there were, in fact, there's even clips of her on their little show in The View talking about how it is that she's got a mouth and how she knows that she doesn't know how to shut up. And you can tell she had an insane attitude in this marriage. There was Jeezy thought that he was going to get himself a nice, submissive, Oriental bride, and sure enough, what did he get? Yeah, she is cute. She is absolutely good looking, but oppositional she is. And nobody wants to come home to a problem, ladies. I don't know where the hell the sprinkle lady, and as a matter of fact, to even mention the soft guy era, drizzle. You ladies are absolutely dumb. Like, to not understand that happens to be sarcasm. I have to speak on some seriousness when it comes to that. I know that plenty happen to have mentioned it, but when it comes to drizzle, you ladies are emotionally inept and just unintelligent to the point to where it hinders you in even understanding reality. Drizzle is a play on sprinkle, and how it is that you ladies say the most dumbest shit over there and try to think that it's supposed to make sense. Shira7 has said, "Don't be a man's piece." Are you kidding me? That is the quickest way to get the hell out of his house and his life. That's funny. And the men who do allow this, you don't respect and you didn't want to begin with. So who is it that you're really looking for? You ladies are literally making contradictory nonsense and not making sense. I mean, it was absolutely hilarious. I was telling my girl the other day. In fact, there was a reel I seen maybe like a year ago, and it was a white lady and she had her daughter on her back, and she says, she's imitating that Cardi B song. I don't cook, I don't clean, and let me tell you how I got that ring. And sure enough, she has another daughter that's off to the side, and she said, "You were nice until he gave you, you had kids, and then you showed your true colors." And her kid called her on her bullshit, and the smile immediately drained from her face. I don't know if it was an act, if it was a skit, but for a lot of men, this happens to be true. The bait and switch is a real thing, and this absolutely, I would assume, is something that was pulled on Jeezy here, and it was really unfortunate. Let's go ahead and move on to something else here. For a lot of women, you happen to speak like you're all spice, sugar spice and everything nice, and everything happens to be all good. And you see, like, we've got a surreal here. I left the lady's name, you see, and she even says, "I'm a tad bit bitchier." Like, it's supposed to be cute, like it's supposed to be funny, right? You ladies having an attitude is supposed to be funny, right? You creating chaos in the home is cute, right? Wrong. Let's go ahead and play the clip.
Girls are crazy about...
That is the quickest way to get knocked the fuck out in my house. Like, we're not here to wrestle. We're not here to play. Like, woman, like, if I really happen to have pushed myself, I'd probably still put up 315. If I really was able to again, if my shoulder wasn't still jacked up and the whole, like, goodness, it's more than she's ever going to be able to put up. Most women are ever going to be able to put up. Some men are going to be able to put up, period. But to think that you're going to be able to physically challenge me on that level makes no sense, when it is that especially I'm just trying to have a discussion with you. A lot of you ladies get angry for no reason. You get really loud, you get really pissy just because you're not getting your way. In fact, many of you have broken up the home because somebody said, or your husband happened to have said no to you squandering the family finances into something stupid that you wanted to do. I got another clip here from MTR. Goodness, he was reacting to everything that's been going on with Neo over in his situation, and it's absolutely crazy. Ladies, to be simple, to really put things simple, as a matter of fact, black women, the reason why my father picked a white woman instead of getting with somebody he was going to have to fight with in the home. Hear me, ladies, fight with in the home. And instead, all he did was get a lying conspirator. It was absolutely nuts. I mean, honestly, all women happen to be jacked up in the West right now, if you happen to ask me. But you can't blame him for trying. No, he absolutely tried. But black women, this is typically what it seems like to be with y'all. This is what I had to grow up with. This is what I watched.
Crying, you gotta go, but the gonna stay, huh? The gonna stay. The gonna stay.
Excuse me.
The gonna stay. The gonna stay.
In his face.
The gonna stay.
In his face.
Huh?
Excuse me.
Why can't you just be at home with your kids?
Why can't you just get out?
Why you just can't be at home with the kids?
She is in his house.
Why you can't be at home with the kids? Is that hard for you to lay in the bed?
There's no freaking way. Like I said, child abuse survivor. Ladies, a lot of men are, simply because they have been raised by you and your hostile asses. It's absolutely absurd. The fact that you can think that a man is supposed to come from his mama's house getting treated like that shit, and then back into a house with you to getting treated like that shit, and everything is supposed to be okay. This is why it is that women and goodness, you see a lot of lower end women in impoverished communities and so on. This is why it is that they happen to go after pookies. This is why it is that you will happen to go after people who aren't doing as well. Is because simply, in fact, let me fix this. Is because you're looking to have a position of control. You're looking to be able to take over his life, and if he says anything, you can false report on him, and there's nothing that he's going to be able to do about it, because more than likely he's already got a record because he's a pookie, and he's just going to get screwed anyway because the cops happen to treat us all messed up anyway, right? And then for those of us who happen to be darker complected, like my father, I had to watch him getting, screwed over by the police acting all inappropriate or whatnot. But you ladies that just basically play with his whole life in his home at the place where he pays bills. Why the fuck would anybody want to cohabitate with you? Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. You're letting in a demon, an insurgent, a terrorist. No. Ladies, this behavior is toxic at best. It is poisonous at best. It's childish at best. You almost make an argument why it is that we do need to go back to the 1950s. I mean, if you happen to look at abortion and how it is that you guys are lying and so on, you can't manage to keep yourselves together. We're seeing a lot of women really screwing up in places of power, such as, mayors like Tiffany Henyard, so-called super mayors like Tiffany Henyard, who have put the city of Dalton in $7 million in debt because, and who has in fact terrorized the city with the police because she thinks that she is just above everyone else. This is what I am familiar with when it is that I have to work under some of you women, most of you women. I get lies. I get people who are conspiring the entirety of the I get low integrity. I never have worked it has never been a place of peace. It's never been a good place. It's always chaotic. It's nonsensical. I mean, there's usually a bunch of childish antics going on. A lot of the times I've got employees who aren't working. It's gross. I mean, and then at the end of the day, as a matter of fact, let me go ahead and go back into story time. In fact, when me and my girl happened to have first gotten together, and like I said, I'm going to bring her on the show eventually here, and and we'll be able to get a couple of videos, and you'll be able to hear from her mouth directly. But when we first got together, I heard all the time about how it is that men can't do dishes, men can't do laundry. Guess who was doing our dishes and laundry at the time? When I finally got my shit together to get my job and get out of school, so on, I was doing everything that I was doing at the time. I only went for like a semester. It was honestly, it was really sad. It was only just so that way I could get grant money from a program that I had coming in. Times was hard. I was young. Anyway, I get myself situated, and she had lost her job. All of a sudden, guess who doesn't know how to cook? Guess who doesn't know how to do dishes? Guess who doesn't know how to wash clothes? Just like most of you ladies, she was inept and incapable. She absolutely now knows how. Now, because I have paid for the dishwasher and the washing machine and such that we happen to have, and a lot of you ladies happen to be careless for stuff because you don't pay for it, I still do those things. Now, she empties out the dryer, she'll empty out the dishwasher, she'll put away the clothes. But as far as those things, nope, I ain't gonna have you guys breaking my shit. So it's just, that's how it's got to be. But she doesn't even understand why it is that she was parroting those same things. I had even asked her years later, I said, sweetie, why did you say those things? And she said, you know what? I really don't know. It was feminism and she really understands it was feminism that had her programmed. She genuinely thought herself up here, and she was just this, she was doing it, and in reality, she didn't know shit, because her mom didn't teach her anything. Just as most of you aren't teaching your daughters or your sons anything, especially your sons. Happen to know another woman coming from New York. I'm not going to mention her by name, but if she happens to see this, she'll know exactly as to who she was. Had a son already, came over here, had a new dude, has a daughter with him. Now, she's giving the new baby daddy flack about the way that he's trying to raise the son. He's taking the son under his wing, so on, trying to raise him. She has a problem trying to be oppositional. She's always questioning him, getting in his way. Obviously, this was a black couple. It is what it is. Y'all seem to have the most bravado, most problems, ladies. I don't know what the fuck else to tell you. You know, I've seen it in my aunties. I've seen it in my grandma. I've seen it in my relatives. It's horrible. All on my dad's side of the family. He brought me around. He made sure that I knew exactly what a large part of the lower end of it was anyway. You know, as far as what that could be, what his family was, what I was familiar with. And then unfortunately in the public schools that I happened to have gone to, there was almost no difference. It was in fact, it was quite the same, if not it was worse, going to school in the 7th grade and missing a certain day and then coming back and finding out that another 12-year-old, you know, black girl beat the shit out of a white science teacher, you know, and this was like a hippy dippy old white lady, just you know, save the whales, you know, and she was trying to get this young lady to call her mom. She picked up the phone and started beating this lady's face with it. It was the most heinous shit I had ever heard of as a child. I couldn't believe that a child did this to an adult. And it was, I mean, like I said, this was just, this woman was beyond nonviolent. Like, she may as well have been kicking a puppy. It was disgusting. This is what it is that I'm familiar with. This is what I am used to. All the while having to grow up hearing similar phrases of that bullshit on The View, hearing about how it is that men happen to be useless, all while knowing that their entire production team, everybody who happens to run the studio back there, and everybody who's probably lining their fucking pockets is a man. Ladies, shush. Many of you need to shush. It doesn't make any sense, the things that you will say or do, for that matter. And a lot of you are largely abusive. The fact that you omit these things and pretend like they're not there doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden not there. In fact, let's go ahead and pull up another clip. All right. Everybody knows 2.5 Men, right? And had Charlie Sheen on it. That was when the show was still good. Goodness, I didn't happen to watch it for too long. I didn't even watch it really. Just, it was, if it came on, it came on. You know, I had some really crazy times in my life. But I'm gonna go ahead and let this play, in fact, and we can just go ahead and react to it.
Ellen, what do you think you're doing?
Oh, hi, Judith. Naomi here was worried about stretch marks, and I was showing her how vitamin E can help prevent them. You know, like I did with you, and then you walked in, and that's pretty much it.
All right, now hold on. See, now I want to go ahead and I'm going to address, as a matter of fact, each little part of this as it goes on. I forgot. Like, there's several things to react upon. Now, first off, that is his ex-wife. Ex-wife. She divorced him. He is still taking care of their son in Charlie Sheen's house, paying her child support. Like, let's get that shit out of the way first. Like, that whole premise is already like, wait, what the fuck? Why is he paying her child support if he's taking care of his son? Because the courts and laws and government's all corrupt and fucked up. That's just how it is, man. Family law's corrupt. It is what it is. They're just here to gank money out of men's pockets. They don't care if they're taking from your child or not. They want their cut. And in that sense, I feel like as a man who's paying child support, like, you shouldn't have to pay taxes ever again. Like, you're done. Child support is your taxes. Like, you're finished. But he's rubbing some kind of lotion or something on pregnant woman's belly, who's like the niece of the nanny, who happens to be there, and his ex-wife caught him doing so and is trying to immediately make him feel bad, and he's trying to now, having made Phil nervous, justify himself and explain everything that's been going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hey, why don't you pull up your top and let her check out your belly?
I will not.
So he rubbed this on you too?
Oh, he rubbed all right, but it was only to satisfy his own twisted needs.
Okay, so now she's a victim because he wanted to hump and she got pregnant. That was it. Now it's his fault, right? Wait.
Excuse me, but you were the one who was constantly horny.
And you
Oops.
sure took advantage of it, didn't you?
Hey,
And sure enough, right back to being a victim. It was her who had always initiated, and sure enough, somehow he took advantage. How? And he's gonna explain to her the mentality right now.
The bar is only open 9 months a decade. You drink till you puke. And then you keep drinking.
That's funny.
No, it's not. But goodness. That clip all in itself happens to show how open misogyny, or I'm sorry, misandry has been allowed in Hollywood and throughout life, and how just the culture itself basically helps to promote it. He's a single man, just like Charlie Sheen is in this show, and like I said, the wife was obviously depriving him. He left, and he's still taking care of his kid, and his kid is made to think that kind of stuff is funny. It's absolutely not funny to see your father get belittled in any kind of fashion. Period. It's not okay. He's the one who happens to be paying for things. He's the one who's typically making it so everybody can be taken care of, and he's getting shit on by the people that he's taking care of. It doesn't happen to make any sense. And then for you women to typically turn around and say how useless men are doesn't make any sense. It's confusing. In fact, with the lack of empathy that you ladies happen to show when it is that you do this kind of stuff, it really shows, like, I believe modern women are sociopathic, or maybe even just sociopaths in general, period. Not just sociopathic, like you have tendencies, like, no, like you guys are just sociopaths. Most women happen to believe that it's okay to use a man for his finances, and that you guys should just be able to, lie willy-nilly, do what it is that you need because you say that you need, even though that it's something that you want, and then you want somebody to come and take responsibility for you when it doesn't pan out right. It literally makes no sense, and it's contradictory in nature and by definition. Tiny little clip here. I mean, you could read the caption. This is me when I see my son's girlfriend slap him for liking other girls' bikini pics on Instagram. And I mean, you see, look here, let me just go ahead and play it. And it's just okay, right? So she's not worried about her son getting this snot slapped out of him. And then, they even played a bit with him crying or whatnot in the background. If you aren't worried about your child being abused by another person, you don't need to have a child. Period. Let the roles have been reversed. It would have been a humongous problem. Ladies, you are horrible parents. You're a horrible, goodness, I can't. Just, your emotions lead you to say and do stupid things just like this. As I had spoken before earlier in the video about the poll or whatnot, with women deciding to tell on a woman if she's doing inappropriateness to a child was way low, and then wishing to tell if a man was doing inappropriateness to a child was way high. I would even say that high for telling on a man would even go to making inferences where there are none to be made. There's no information to go off of. It's just, oh, he's a creep. Why? Because he's there. Whoa. Where did that come from, ladies? You made an insane jump. Well, I just feel like, yeah, your feelings are off base and they're fucked up. You sound crazy. Come on, please. Let's get another one. Here's another way in which how women are just simply being women, and this is what it is that men happen to mean when they say women live on recruit difficulty. This is just a little clip to explain as to how it is that you guys don't get in trouble in the extent that you should.
People with expired non-disclosure agreements, what's the juicy info you can now tell us? I was given a near-fatal overdose of Tylenol as a toddler at a daycare called La Petite. The young worker walked away when I was on a diaper-changing table when I rolled over and fell off. I ended up breaking my femur and was understandably wailing my little cubby head off. She was afraid to get fired, so she kept feeding me painkillers until I stopped crying. Turns out that's a bad thing. Well, safe to say, I spent over a week in the hospital and some time in a full body cast. My legs got stunted just enough to make my legs just a bit shorter that my torso in portion. Medical bills were paid, and I got $25,000 in an annuity. Plus, the girl got fired, but no prosecuted. My parents refused to press charges on her because they believe in second chances and forgiveness.
So you see, right there, like at the end, the parents believe in second chances and forgiveness. That was your baby's life. I assure you that it was the mother who had really coerced that, in fact, and it was probably the nurse crying. She has been told several times, time and time again, I can assure you, to not leave a baby by themselves on the changing table, and she did so anyway. They have been given strict instructions. This is just like the police thing. She was given rules, and she did not follow them and did not suffer any consequences. Yeah, she lost her job, but just like priests, just like cops, she'll find another hospital to go to, just like they find another church Cops find another precinct. These bad people continue to just get recycled in different locations. There's a reason why it is that things are as bad as they are, and it's because people are saying forgiveness when there should not be any. In certain circumstances, I actually absolutely believe that there should be some form of frontier justice still around to this day. If not, like, it's got to be like fast. I'm talking like death row quickly. You know, it expedited. Like, it shouldn't be waiting 10 years. If we know open shut, caught you, like, hands still in the body, bloody and everything, like, are you kidding me? You know, we've got all this evidence to basically lead you up there. And so, like, no. Right now. And I'm not even worried about, you know, painless. I'm really not. Bring the survivors of the victim in. Have them do it. Give them whatever they want. How about that? I don't understand some of the rules and laws in which that we happen to have. It doesn't incentivize for people to be good. It incentivizes people to do bad and to take advantage. It never really made any sense to me, like I said, once again, and I'm going to reiterate, how it is that people have mentioned they don't understand how or why it is that that things have managed to get this bad. Why are the teachers allowing things to be like this? And this is, like, understand, these are the young women, like, they're like my age. This is who I grew up with, you know, and I watched this happen. I understood. I was like, oh, shit, you know, like, the community's getting messed up. And it wasn't just the African-American community. Like, you know, you saw some hoodlums in the Asian community. You saw some hoodlums, you know, starting to peek out of the Indians. You saw a couple of hoodlums, you know, like, you know, you always saw the country bumpkin white folk, you know what I'm saying, doing what it is that they happen to do. You know, bottom rung is bottom rung, and they came from all over. But it seemed like it was getting worse because nobody was really saying anything about it, and there was like this lack of shame that people were willing to give others for behaving in this horrible fashion. Goodness. An example of one of those teachers, I don't know if y'all have seen the clip, but you know, simply put, this is her with her class. Like, them little ass kids. That doesn't make any sense to me. That, like I said, she's probably my age, man. Like, this who I went to school with. You know, there's girls just like this who were inappropriate, bad behaving, had no respect for anybody, weren't being taught well by their moms. And then, you know, they get older, they get into high school, they get into middle school, and then they have no respect for the teachers, for their parents later on. They have no respect for authority. Everything is crazy. There's no want to even conduct themselves in a professional or in a polite fashion because it's just, well, I'm going to be aggressive like this, and I'm just going to do what I do. All right, this is probably one of the more goofier ones that I have ever seen in my life before, but goodness, I hope YouTube doesn't happen to flag me for this. I'm going to play a little bit of this. This was on Fox News.
They're convicted of stabbing her boyfriend to death, only gets a slap on the wrist. She faced the possibility of life in prison for stabbing him 108 times. Wild. But the judge... you know what? And I told my girl that she actually had gotten probation. I didn't realize that it was community service. You know, that is wild. It's absolutely wild. I knew it was basically nothing. You know, I knew that she wasn't going to spend any time in jail. 108 times screams insanity and nothing else. There's no sense that you could really make of that and just say, oh, well, that's because of this. And guarantee she omitted the fact that she did this intently. She completely lied and acted like this was cool. Because I actually have PTSD, ladies. I'm gonna make another video about this and how most of you do not have PTSD. I actually have it. I take a toke of, you know, devil's lettuce or whatnot every once in a while. Goodness, it's yeah. Like, there is not enough in the world for my trauma, but nothing in the world can make me act like that when it comes to it. That's insane. It doesn't make any sense. Ladies, you need to do better. You need to do better for your sons and your daughters. Who is growing up and who is becoming this right now, it's not healthy for anybody, and it's not going to work out well. Does anybody remember this one? This was a woman in Target who happened to have thought that she could, force the LP back into his office after she tried to steal an entire cart full of items. And after she walked him back probably about 150 feet at least from the front lobby all the way to his office.
Ivory approaches the manager and gets in her face. After that,
first she's getting in the manager's face. She thought that she could do that to a female, so a man came out. Apologies if I was talking over that or whatnot, if you couldn't hear me. I said she thought that she could do that to a female employee. So a man came up. That was the LP. The male employee came up.
I mean that she wanted to rip it out, and I told her we couldn't do that. And then she said, "Excuse me," and I was like, "Ma'am, like I need you to back up or leave, like, but we can't."
And she is walking up on him. I've got this playing at I think it's 1.5 speed, 1.5 times speed. And so I mean, so it's going a little quick, but she is aggressively walking at him, and he is backing up. And I mean, if he was telling this woman to back up, I don't think they play the whole thing as far as because he goes back into some catacomb like area or whatnot where there's a bunch of hallways, and he goes back into his own office where he gets cornered.
I do that for you. So she started charging at me. I came all the way back into my office into an enclosed space, and I hit her in the face.
And it wound up happening like that. Now, ladies, this is what kind of aggression it is that I'm used to seeing. I had an auntie who was 350 to 400 pounds, used to beat the hell out of her son with a foam bat. This was also on my father's side of the family. He'd say, "Shut up, you're fat," knowing damn good and well that she was 2 to 3 times bigger than her son. Ladies, I don't know why it is that you happen to think it's okay to beat on your boys, to beat on men, but most of us are tired of it. A lot of us are tired of it. I can't wait to see for some actual fairness, some real feminism to happen. What it is that you ladies are not genuinely ready for is for some actual equality. Your behavior has been outlandish for far too long, and it needs to get addressed. I've got another clip here from It's a Gundam. If anybody happens to watch him, you know, awesome content creator. I absolutely love his stuff. He gets on all about the monotony that happens to go on in the country and in media and just everywhere in particular. And I absolutely love his take on things. There was some stuff that I wasn't able to cut out, so he absolutely is going to get as much credit as possible. I will do my best to link the original video down in the description box. But this woman in particular, she starts hitting on, I guess this is her husband. You know, I think she's married or their boyfriend and girlfriend, but she literally starts physically abusing him in front of a cop and does not get taken to jail.
Sorry.
So that was her running up, threatening to do physical harm. Fist was up in the air, like, and she had her phone out, like it was cute, like it was supposed to be funny, right? Ha 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 ha, like it was cute. That's a cop car, and that's that's a female cop that happens to be down there on the left of the police vehicle, which is why it is that I'm certain she gets granted so much leniency, as you'll see here.
Sorry, regardless of what had just happened here, if you had hit him right in my presence, regardless if he was quiet, be quiet and listen to me. No matter what he said, you would be going to jail. Do you understand? You must not stop.
And she tells her that she would have been going to jail, but I genuinely don't think so with how soft the female cop seems to be speaking to her, almost as if she's not worried about it. It's just not a bother to her at all. But I've got another one from this lady. So in this particular clip, he says something in particular about another woman being younger or something to that degree, and she, and once again, this is from It's a Gundam. She whole cocks him, you know, backhand, just right in the face, and it's disgusting. I mean, and she slams it down on top of, you know, the back of his seat, like, you know, and there was even more to it. Like I cut it out. Honestly, it was a little uncomfortable for me to see. Like, that was one hit. He goes to speak now, and it was just bink, and right, she busted him right in the kisser. It was absolutely, it was spot on. And for this kind of blatant abuse, and honestly, like, you know, shortly after this, he wound up, like, grabbing her, and, you know, she slowed down or something in the vehicle because she was driving. But he managed to push her out of the car. And I mean, and I don't know how all of this happens to transpire, but I mean, you know, ladies, this is what it is that I was referring to when I had said on one of my old IG reels, the erosion of the man's behavior. The nice guy that you happen to meet when it is that you guys are first together, you change that person from who he is to who he is now. Like, he wants to be nice. He wants to be kind. He wants to be caring. He wants to be, you know, he wants to come and coddle and take care of you. But the meaner that you are, he needs to be mean to be able to stand up for himself in response. All right. And I mean, basically to end out my clip, man, goodness, I know that this has been a long one. I'm sorry. I know that I got an hour long here. It was just a little wild. But I've got another lady here, like I said, that, you know, Tiffany Henyard, you know, she happens to be in office and is absolutely bombing things in the city of Dalton, taking $7 million from, you know, everybody and so on. But it's been crazy. But it's not, I absolutely in no way I'm trying to make this sound like just black women. They're absolutely white, Asian, everybody. Like I said, I've made a moment or a video about Amy Wong speaking about leaving her husband and doing all kinds of heinous things in that fashion. That woman is famous. That woman did that on a comedy show like it was supposed to be cute. Most disgusting shit I had ever heard. But anyway, this particular lady, this is a white lady.
Our first ever interaction was when you retweeted a hate article about me while I was a Sarasota County school student. You are a reminder that some people view politics as a service to others, while some view it as an opportunity for themselves. This board, you have spent public funds, removed books from schools, target trans and queer children, erase black history, and all while sending your children to private schools because you do not believe in the public school system you've been leading. My question is, why doesn't an elected official using our money to harm our students for her gain seem to matter as much to us as her having a threesome does? Bridget Ziegler, you do not deserve to be in the Sarasota County School Board, but you do not deserve to be removed from it for having a threesome. That defeats the lesson we've been trying to teach you, which is that a politician's job is to serve their community, not to police personal lives.
Goodness. So, I mean, that basically says what say what I was saying. I didn't need to say anything in that particular regard. This lady, Bridget Ziegler, obviously, you know, I mean, you know, she did what it is that she did. Nobody cares about your sexual orientation. I mean, it is what it is. Obviously, I mean, you know, this spiteful woman happened to have felt some kind of way about this young man and what it is that he was trying to do. So she tweeted a hate article or something to that degree, or what he was referring to about him. But realistically, we just need to worry about getting heinous people out of positions of power. For far too long, we've been allowing monsters to just come in and run amok and do whatever it is that they so choose without being checked or anybody even saying anything. But definitely, I appreciate what it is that this young man happened to have said and how eloquently he happened to have spoken to this woman. He didn't happen to use any ridiculous, you know, slang terms, any crazy words or anything in that fashion. He said it direct and to the point, and he said what he needed to say. But and I mean, and then even goodness, lastly, what it is that I will say, LGBTQ. And I mean, and this is going to be, you know, people are going to look at me and like, oh, this is a hot take. It absolutely is not. In fact, let me go ahead and I'm going to fix this first. Nobody gives a shit of your orientation. It has been that way since I was in school over 20 years ago. Everyone in the LGBTQ grow up. What it is that needs to happen, what it is that we're looking to have happen, is for people to quit targeting and being predatorial to children. You're not here to mess with the kids. You're not here to play with their minds. You're not Emperor Palpatine. We're not going to let you Jedi mind trick them into thinking something that they're not supposed to. SA of a minor absolutely can lead to messed up thoughts as an adult. It has been proven. It happens. It is unfortunate. It's not something that should be allowed or just it's something that should be actively being prevented, or at least attempted to be prevented. Everything should be going into it to prevent it. I mean, when people happen to become adults, they are more than welcome to do what it is that they choose. That is completely different. But as children, we should not be looking to impose our will or our wants onto them, or for our own gain, or even having, as some of you have in the LGBTQ sector, parroting your talking points to the rest of the world as if they happen to be correct, looking for child trans rights. In fact, and my girl and I just started watching the TED show. There was this beautiful clip that happened to have popped up on that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play that, and I will catch you guys in the next one. And I want everything to be understood about the clip 100%. This happens right in the beginning of the show. This is episode 1. Bully comes up and punches dude in the nuts 2 times. You know, and this is I forget what kid's name is, but you know, it's the guy playing Mark Wahlberg as a kid, basically, in TED. But here it goes.
You must be going full gay on us, huh? I always knew you were a big queer.
You know, I don't want to speculate on who's gay, but didn't you just touch his penis twice? Hey, listen, man, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's the 90s. Times are changing. Hey, anybody else here gay? How is it?
It's great. It's the fucking tits.
See, there you go. The reviews are in.
Just saying, man, that was the 90s. And I mean, I was in high school in 2000 to 2004, and it was even more welcoming then. I don't know what the hell you guys are complaining about, talking about rights and so on. What it is that we do not want is for you to try to impose your wants and will onto children. I'm going to say it again. Do not impose your wants and will onto children. Everybody, have a great day. Get therapy. Take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.